What if someone told you that they were going to do 4 flips in 7 days without sacrificing quality and while staying on budget? What would your reaction be? What if they told you they also were making this a competition between two teams and recording the whole process on YouTube? I'd say that's a pretty cool thing. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. I'm your host, Sharon Vornholt, and I'm so happy you're tuning in today. My guest is Utah investor Tyler Jensen. In addition to building a thriving real estate business, he's a family man with 3 small boys. He's been flipping houses for 10 years now, and he started flipping houses while he was still in college to pay for college expenses. So let's dive into this show. I'm sure you're going to love it. Welcome to the show, Tyler. I'm so happy to have you on today.
Yeah, Sharon, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so tell everyone, I know I've heard your story, and it's a great story, and kudos to your wife, but tell everybody a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, so I started back in college. So 2008 is when I started, when the market was awesome, as you know, right?
Yes.
It was crazy back in 2008. And we started doing short sales. So there was a lot of foreclosures, stuff like that. So we would start doing wholesaling before it was called wholesaling. So we would do an A to B contract, B to C contract. We would negotiate with the bank. And that's how I started. We did our first rehab. We lost a ton of money on it. And then we had to do a second rehab so we could pay for the first one. And yeah, we just kind of went from there. I've been flipping houses since then. 2008, I would do 1 or 2 through college. And then I kind of scaled up a little bit. I left my corporate America job a couple of years ago, and then we haven't looked back since. So that's kind of the short story, I guess.
Yeah, well, I know I've read your longer story, and I'm always interested in the part where somebody says, I'm going to quit my job, and then the wife goes, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So that kind of happened for you, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So my wife, we had flipped 2 houses at the same time. This was about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And we flipped 2 houses. We sold them within a week of each other. And so we had some runway. I had some cash. I said, hey, look, we can live on what we just closed on these houses for 6 months. Just give me a shot, right? I want to try and run this dream. I want to try and make it happen. I love real estate, just like you and I were talking before, that, man, we just have this passion for flipping houses and real estate and taking this old dumpy house to something that is amazing. And so I told my wife that. I said, hey, look, this is my dream. I'm well educated. I can always go get another job, but let me try it. So she said, okay, for 6 months, you can go and try your dream, and that's it. After 6 months, if you're not successful, then you need to go get a job and health insurance and all that stuff. So I made her a promise. I said, hey, look, the only difference, I'll make sure we have health insurance, that I pay us every 2 weeks, that it'll feel just like a corporate America job, except my office will be in the basement now instead of going to the office. And so that was my promise to her, and we haven't looked back since.
Well, that was a great plan. I think too often people say, well, I'm going to make some money, is very vague. But you probably, by saying that, we'll get a paycheck and we'll have health insurance, it very probably sealed the deal for her, at least in the short term. But you obviously were successful. So you've been doing this now 12 years?
Yep, just on and off, not full time. So I would flip houses when I was in college in 2008. And so I would do all the work myself. So I would do all the flooring and painting and all of that stuff. And then it would take me 6 months to do a flip, and then I would find another one, and another 6 months later I'd have that flip. And so I would just do that to help pay for college and just kind of as a side hustle. And then, we started scaling up, and I hired a contractor to help us, and we would do like 6 or 7 in a year. And then, and now we're on track to hit 40 this year.
So how many years passed before you were doing 6 or 7 a year?
So a long time. I would do 1 or 2 every single year. And then just probably 4 years ago, we started getting serious about it. And then I did 6, and then we did 12, and then we did 18. And then we just kept growing from there.
Yeah. So, I think it's important for people to understand it doesn't happen overnight. They look at people like you and go, well, he did it, he's successful, but it's not easy. And while I was in college at that time, I had another business. So
Mhm.
I kind of had a similar story. So I was in that business 17 years, a home inspection, I owned a home inspection company.
Oh,
And
wow.
so about 7 years in, a realtor came to me and said, you know, you want to go to a RIA meeting? And I said something like, what's a RIA meeting? So for the next 10 years, but I did a part-time, and then same thing. I went full-time in 2008 too, which was the worst of times and the best of times.
Right.
So you always focused on single family homes, is that correct?
Yep, always. So we did a couple multifamilies, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But yeah, for the most part, single family has been our game, and we understand it really well, and we've just gotten really good at it. So no need to diversify right now.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, I'd like to talk about that because I was just talking to a guy and he said, I woke up and I was young and I knew I wanted to buy apartments. And I said, I can honestly say nobody's ever said that to me before, that people have
Yeah.
said, I want to buy single family homes. But so you tried multifamily then, but you went back to single family.
Yeah, so we have some multifamily now that we just did. We did 2 duplexes in 7 days. And so we just finished those. But those are the only multifamily. We've done a couple other fourplexes and stuff like that. But I'm just in it right now to be active income. And so the multifamily stuff is more maybe later down the road that we'll
Yeah.
start getting into. But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to increase as much cash as we can. So when it goes back to 2008 and everything goes on sale, then we'll have a good cash position that we can buy stuff like that. So,
That's a great plan. So let's talk about marketing. This is one of my favorite topics, and I always want to
yeah.
know for people what are your main ways of finding deals, and you know, do you have some favorites? We'll just call them that. Do you have some proven winners for people?
Yeah, so we don't spend a lot of money on marketing. So at least in my business and how our business model was, we spent $6,000 last year and we did just over 30 properties.
Wow.
So we're not spending a ton of money. What we like to do is we buy a lot of stuff from the MLS. We're putting in a ton of offers on that way, but we do, you know, we're putting a lot high earnest money down, zero contingencies, close in 72 hours or whatever it is. And so a lot of people will take a price reduction on that. Because they just want to move out and they'll just say, hey, look, this is a cash offer. We can be done with this house by the end of the week. And so we do a lot of that. I have a lot of people in our network. So we focus very heavily on our network with bird dogs and with people that we teach, with students, and just a lot of that stuff. Most of our deals come from our network. We get a ton, probably 6 or 7 every single day of people that are bringing us deals, realtors and agents and brokers. And we've bought a couple from divorce attorneys, from probate attorneys. Just, we've really done a good job at building our network. And so we don't spend a ton of marketing dollars per se. We just spend a lot of time networking with people.
So do you spend that money on direct mail? Is that what you're spending?
We did Facebook ads. The $6,000 we ran it, we did Facebook ads.
Okay.
But it just wasn't as fruitful, and it was a lot of work, and I had to hire someone to just make that happen. And so the cost wasn't there for us. I think we got one deal out of that.
Yeah.
And so we just turned it off, and we were still getting deals. So we're on track to hit 40 deals with spending 0 marketing dollars this year.
Wow, that is quite an accomplishment. So, do you have planned activities that you go to, or is it more organic how you meet people, or do you have a plan for your
Yeah,
network?
so like today, there was a wholesale showing that I went to, and you know, there's 30 people that are all trying to get this deal. The deal wasn't a good deal, but I went to go meet people, and so I started talking, and there were other wholesalers there, and there's other rehabbers, and so I just networked with people. I got a couple cards. I said, oh yeah, hey, I've got a deal here over this way, and so I'm just really active in meeting people and talking with them. Hey, what do you need? Oh, I'm selling my duplexes. Do you want those? Cool. Give me your deal. And so anyways, that's what I really focus on. So I'm doing a lot of that. I'm out hitting the street. I go to a lot of wholesale showings, not for the wholesale deal, but more to meet people and other investors. And then, yeah, we're just putting ourselves out there on Facebook. We're doing a ton of that stuff. We did our TV show that just has given us a lot of credibility. And then we're also reaching out to a lot of agents. And so we're hitting the top agents all the time saying, hey, look, We're cash buyers. We can close really fast. Who do you have that has a property that may not be list worthy, that's a hoarder, or that grandma died and it's in rough shape? So we do a lot of that stuff as well.
I love that because networking, I think, is one of the best sources of leads of all.
Yeah.
And it's almost for free or close to free, but it's the most underutilized form of marketing that I know of. I think that should be on the top of everyone's list. And when we first opened the home inspection company many years ago, we used to go to open houses, and we would take a mug and a goodies in the mug, and we would just go on Sundays and meet agents, and that's really how we built our business, was through real old school networking.
Yep, and I'm the same way, just old school networking.
Well, it works for sure. I mean, you've got your RIA meetings, but then you've got a lot of other avenues for networking.
Yeah.
I'm so anxious to talk about your show. So I was telling Tyler before that I have been watching this thing because I love rehabbing, and this. So the 7-day flip is flip 4 houses in 7 days. Who the heck came up with that idea?
Good question. So we had done, I always wanted to do a flip in 7 days. So I told my project manager, I'm like, hey, we got to figure this out, because I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't, right? Why can't we flip a house in 7 days? And so we did the first one, and we planned it really well. We were just waiting for the right house. And I said, hey, this is the house. It's perfect. It's a $40,000 rehab. Let's flip it in 7 days. So we sat down for a week. We planned it. What would it look like? What do we need? How many people, materials, all that stuff. And we did a $40,000 rehab in 7 days. And it was awesome. It was probably one of my favorite flips that we've ever done. It turned out really cool, and we did it in a week. And then we just started building on it. So then we did another one, and then we did another one. And then we came across this fourplex, these 2 duplexes. And my project manager was like, wouldn't it be cool if we flipped all 4 of these in 7 days? And I was like, what? That sounds crazy. But because 6 months ago, I was convincing him that we could do a 7-day flip. And he told me, there's no way, you can't do it. It's not possible. You can't do a $40,000 rehab in 7 days. Mm-hmm. And now he's trying to convince me that we can do 4 in 7 days. Mm-hmm. And so we said, all right, let's take the challenge. And so I called Bill and said, hey, look, we have these properties. They're in escrow. We're going to close on them in 2 weeks. We're planning this 7-day flip. Come fly out here, send your camera crew, and let's film this, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. So that's what we did. We said, hey, we're going to flip all 4 of these units. They were all very unique rehabs. We had to redo the kitchens, the bathrooms. We had meth. We had earthquake. We had just all these things happen during that week. And we were able to prevail. And I'm not going to spoil the ending if we finish it or not, but it was just a really cool experience to be able to do that.
Well, I've been fascinated, and my hat's off to you for taking on a meth house in that challenge, because most people only do that one time and they're like, no, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
So so you set up a challenge. Now, this is the other part of it that I like. You made it. People talk about gamification, but you made this a challenge, like an experience. It's not just flipping houses. It's been an experience watching all the behind the scenes. By the way, brilliant job of getting that all filmed and cut and everything, because I love the way it's like, okay, we're going to win. The next week is not, now we're going to win.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to watch. But so how did the challenge, now, you decided from the beginning you were going to have the challenge?
Yeah, so we kind of made up the rules as we went, but the original challenge, I bet Jeffrey, I'm like, I bet you that my team, so we both split it. So there were 2 duplexes right next door to each other. And I gave Jeffrey, who is my project manager, one. And then I said, hey, my crew will take the other one. First one finished has to dress up like the other person. So
those pants.
You've seen the show. Oh yeah. And he wears those, we call them genie pants. Look like he's a genie. So he's like, all right, deal. So I would have to wear the genie pants if my team finished behind his team, and vice versa. he would have to dress up like me and wear a polo and comb his hair and shave and all of that stuff. So it was just something fun for our guys to say, oh yeah, our team's better than you, and to kind of create that little competition that we were all trying to get it done as a whole. Like it was all my company, it was all my crews, and it was just something fun to say, hey, look, Tyler's team versus Jeffrey's team. Hey, we're winning, you're losing, kind of just a fun thing like that. And then it evolved over time that you'll see in this next episode that you watch that we had some people come and vote. My parents came and our realtor and a couple other people came and they voted on best quality as well. Yeah. So I didn't want it to just be fastest because I felt like we would cut corners if we did that. And so I said, hey, we're going to have people vote on it. We're going to see who is overall quality, who did the best job, and who finished fast. All of those would be metrics in the competition. So yeah, it was a lot of fun though. It was cool. Our guys were really excited to see me wear genie pants and to see Jeffrey with his hair comb. So it kind of was the driving factor through that week to push everybody through.
So you had the crews. I want to try to wrap my brain around this. So you found the houses, you had the crews because you already had enough people to do more than one project at a time.
Yeah, so we just have really good relationships with our contractors. We have 3 different crews that we have that we do a lot of volume, and so we're just always keeping those guys busy. So they're not in-house crews, but they're pretty loyal to us just because we feed them a lot of work. They have consistency, you know, they just have a good relationship with them. And so, yeah, we said, hey, we're going to stop everything for a week. We're going to put everybody on this and let's just make it happen. Let's have fun. So we did it.
Well, another thing that I noticed was that you, I noticed in, I guess the last show that I've seen, you made a deal with them. You know, you folks, I want y'all to really get how brilliant this whole plan is. Because you went to these people and you negotiated a discount for giving them a shout out on social media.
Yeah. We do stuff like that all the time. So we're always saying, hey, is that the best you can do? Is that, you know, we're using a lot of those tactics. But yeah, that was I said, hey, look, we're going to broadcast this pretty live on Facebook and to our network and stuff like that. And I just asked the question, what would it be worth to you to mention your company in our Facebook stuff? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you $500 off. And so I don't know, we saved like $1,500, but on a $40,000 rehab, that was a pretty good deal. So $1,500 was awesome.
My only comment would be maybe you should go for a bigger discount next time.
No, I didn't.
Maybe like 1,000.
But yeah, next time I will for sure.
So what you touched on one thing that I wondered about, and this is something that I had been having done a lot of rehabs myself, is how do you manage the quality of the rehab? How do you, I mean, you obviously, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but you had everything scheduled down because as a rehabber, you know, this is first and you got to get your electrical done before you put the drywall up. You got, if that has to be inspected. So there's a sequence to rehabbing, but it just was mind-boggling to me that I kept watching for y'all to like something go, oh, there it is. It's a shortcut. I just didn't see anything, because how did you manage the quality control end of it?
Yeah, so that's our expectations. We call it the 3 pillars of flipping a house, right? And it's time. If you can control the time, Sharon, and I know that you've had flips that have taken way longer than they should have, right? Like you're in it 6 months and you're like, holy cow, we're not even painting yet. Like what's going on here? So if you can control the time, the budget, and the quality, then usually your flips will be successful. So that's our standard with our crew. We said, hey, we're going to manage the time. We're going to control these and be really super organized so we know what has to be done when it needs to be done. So we just took that same thing and we condensed it into 7 days. And we said, okay, these are all the milestones, like what you're saying, that process and that system. Okay, day 1, what has to be done in order for day 2 to be successful? So all the utilities, plumbing, electrical, all of that demo had to happen day 1. Day 2, we had to do tile prep and, a lot of that kind of dry in is what we call it. And then you're just moving these phases, but everyone knew that by day 1, we had to hit these certain points. And so we would say, hey, day 1, this is what needs to be done. And if it's not, then people on day 2 are going to be mad because the carpet guy's coming or whatever it was, right? And so our guys knew that. And then it was just this cool synergy on these 7-day flips. because everyone wants to win, right? But they're putting their name on it. And so
Mhm.
not only did we want to do it on 7 days, but we wanted to do it really well and have it presented to be really well done and just nice, because the point of doing a 7-day flip wasn't just to do it in 7 days and cut as many corners as we could.
Right.
We wanted to show and have our signature on it and say, hey, look, we really care about this job. We're the best at what we do. We can do it in 7 days, but we maintained our high quality. So it was just really, those expectations were already set up front with our crew, is that, hey, we're not cutting any corners. We're going to make sure that this is high quality. The point of this isn't just to do a sloppy job in 7 days, but to do a really high quality job in 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all of our flips, those are the metrics that we're always looking at. And I'm holding my project manager accountable to those. Do we have high quality? Are we staying on budget? And are we getting it done in a timely fashion? And if we can control all three of those metrics, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a successful flip. And so that's what we just did. It was me and Jeffrey, a lot of babysitting. Hey, we need to fix this. This doesn't look right. Like your subway tile's crooked, or, you know, all of those things. Yeah. We put that higher standard onto our contractors, and they understand that with working with us, that we're not going to take sloppy. We want to make sure, do it once, do it right, take your time, make sure it's the right way, because it's going to cost us more money if we have to do it again.
Oh yeah. It always costs more money for a do-over.
Yeah.
So
right.
do you have a chart or a spreadsheet? Is there a visual? Because I'm a visual person. So for me, I would need a visual, or I would want one.
Yeah, there is. So we actually gave away, in one of the episodes, episode 2 or 3, I think it was 3, that we gave away our Gantt chart. So we use a Gantt chart that has the 17 layers of a job and what day it needs to be done on. So we gave that away. We use it all the time on every flip, whether it's a 3-week flip or a 7-day flip. Then we are always using that Gantt chart to make sure that our project is being managed and that our expectations are being hit.
I think I must have missed that. I've got to go back and look for that.
Yeah, I think if you go to 7figureflipping.com/chart, you can get our Gantt chart, and it's very visual. Sharon, you would totally like it. So
yeah, I think for so many people, they've got this project up in their head, and all the pieces are like if you took a puzzle and you just dumped it, and they don't know where to start to put it together. And I think having formulas and charts and processes, it makes it easier, but it also makes the project go better. It's more profitable. Like you said, if you don't manage your time and your budget, you know, there are always going to be things that happen. So you have to have some kind of a bumper built in there. So I know you all did that. How did you figure that out as far as when something goes wrong? Where was the time built in there?
Yeah, so we cushioned a lot of that stuff. So like for carpet, we knew our carpet guys could do it in a day if they had to. They could come in and carpet in a day. But we planned on 2 days just in case. So we had some of that cushion that if something didn't get done for carpet, that our carpet guys could maybe be pushed back a day, or they could split it like what we did in this series. You'll see that we do carpet on 2 different days, one in one afternoon and one in the next day. And so we just planned on that. We just really thought of all the contingencies. Well, what happens if this happens, or this guy doesn't show up, or what's our strategy how do we overcome some of those obstacles? So we had thought about all that, like even how we rented a U-Haul and we stacked the materials based on day, right? So we were just very strategic on what we had to do and how we had to plan it out. Wow. And you'll see that on the Gantt chart, right? So our U-Haul was packed day 1 to day 7. So they wouldn't just open up the door and it was just this mess. We strategically packed it. So they would open up the U-Haul and say, oh, here's all the stuff I need for today. Here's all the stuff I need for tomorrow. And then the same, when you see the Gantt chart, you'll see that we were very specific. This has to be done today, or it's going to domino affect the rest of the project.
Right. That's brilliant. You're truly the first person I've ever heard say they loaded their truck in that order, but that is so smart. I mean, how many times have you seen contractors rummaging around a job site looking for stuff, wasting time? They don't know where they put it, or they don't know where it is, where are the handles for the cabinets and all that sort of thing. That happens all the time.
Yep, totally. And here's another gold nugget for you, Sharon, that we catered lunch in. So we would bring in lunch because you know that contractors, when they go to lunch for a quick bite to eat, it's not a quick bite to eat. So we calculated it would have cost us almost $2,400 to let our guys go to lunch. By the time they would go and get lunch and smoke and do whatever they're going to do, right? They're usually gone for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And so we said, hey, we're going to bring lunch in. We're going to stop for 20 minutes. All my guys are staying on site. We got rid of all the Home Depot runs. We said no one's allowed to go to Home Depot because, again, they'll disappear for 4 hours, right? So we took all those variables out and we said, hey, look, we want the most efficient time. We want you here. We want you working. And we're going to make sure that you have all the materials, that you have lunch, that you have a bathroom on site. So there's no reason for you to leave. We just want you to put your head down and go to work. And that's why it was a success, is because we had planned on keeping those contingencies and throwing all those variables out of the way and say, no Home Depot runs, no lunch breaks, like we'll feed you lunch, you're here, we want you to work. And that's how we were able to get something done like that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal because they do disappear, and if they come back in an hour and a half, you're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, really and truly, and the 4-hour Home Depot runs, I know all about those because you get distracted. So you went to Home Depot, I think.
Yeah. So I said, hey, look, I'm just a floater. I'm just here to help. So I would go to Home Depot and I would get stuff and they would do their thing, but nobody left because I was just standing around. I wasn't swinging a hammer or anything. I was just kind of there. And so I'm like, I'll go to Home Depot and do the runs and you guys stay here and do what you're skilled at.
That is a brilliant idea. So let's talk about the budget a little bit. Most successful rehabbers have, they have things they use all the time. They may change up the color or something of the vanity, but is that the way you all do it too? You have certain standards that you put in houses, standard things?
Yeah. So we actually have 2 designers on our team as well we have templates and they'll go through and pick out anything that, hey, this wall really needs to be an accent wall, or we should put shiplap up here. And so those designers work for us and they'll come and say, hey, here's the template. This is the overall idea, but here's 3 or 4 wow factors that we think you need to add to this flip. And so that's been really successful for us too, is that we'll go and we'll paint an accent wall, or we'll put some shiplap up in the kitchen, or we'll do a cooler backsplash, something like that really isn't on the template, but it really adds that wow factor to it. So
wow. I love that idea. So not everybody is that much of a visionary when it comes to those things. And it's just the fact. So if you've got somebody that is, so you have 2 people doing that?
Yeah, well, they're a team. They're a design team. And so there's 2 girls that come and do it. And it's good because you get, as guys and as contractors, sometimes we just make contractor-based decisions, right? It doesn't matter, get it done. But that's not usually what appeals to the homeowner or the buyer. Yeah. And so these girls are really good at kind of taking that black and white and adding a little color to it.
Yeah. So on your design now, in the normal course of things, do you stage your homes?
So the designers take care of that. They do what's called a soft stage. So they'll put towels and some pictures up, some fake plants. They'll put shower curtains up, just stuff like that. But in our market, we did case studies on fully furnished properties and ones that weren't, and they were still selling just as fast and for the same value. Okay. So it just was an extra expense to us to stage, because we're doing low first-time home buyer houses. Yeah, right. We're not, we're in the lower market niche. But yeah, we just felt like it just wasn't doing that. On a higher end house, definitely we'll do some staging, but on a lot of 90% of our deals are that first-time home buyer that they're just excited to have a brand new house, essentially.
Yeah. Now, what does that look like in your area? A first-time home buyer house, ARV.
Yeah. So we're under 300. So anything under 300,000 is a first-time home buyer. Usually. Oh,
really? Okay. That's a step-up house in a lot of areas. So.
Yeah. So usually our typical deal is right about 250. That's what our ARV is for most of our deals.
And what's your typical rehab budget?
$40,000. So a $40,000 rehab is pretty standard for us. That's usually a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,800 square feet. Right. That's kind of our sweet spot. If we can do that with a 2-car garage, then we're in the money. So that's what we like to do, is at least a 3-2, sometimes more than that. But yeah, right around that 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah, you can sell the, okay, so that's why the price point's higher. So you're not doing 1,000, 1,200 square foot houses necessarily. You're looking for.
Yes, sometimes, but we just did like a 900 square foot house and it sold for 200. So
wow.
Yeah, it's still kind of, it's not California, but it's not, like Alabama, and where they're buying houses for $3,000.
Who knew? And you're in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Who knew? Dang. It always amazes me the way the property values are around the country. Some areas you would think would be more moderate aren't, and some that you would think would be expensive don't turn out to be so expensive. So that's always interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I know that you are part of 7-figure flipping, and I wanted to talk. I'm really passionate about people having mentors and coaches and things like that. So I'm going to talk about that just a little bit from your perspective and for what you recommend for other people, because in my book, you go faster, make less mistakes, you make more money sooner if you have a coach or a mentor. So what's your feeling on all of that?
Sharon, I totally agree with you 100%. And so I was right in that phase. I was doing 6 to 10 houses a year. And that's when I joined 7-figure flipping, and it just totally changed my business for a couple reasons. And some of those reasons are that it just really broke the glass ceiling for me. I thought I was doing really well, doing 6 flips in a year. I thought that was pretty impressive. And these guys are like, dude, I did 100. And I'm like, what? That is crazy. Like, how do you even do 100? That's
just like that. You feel bad.
Yeah. Right. Like, man, I'm a lot smaller fish than I thought I was. But so they kind of broke that ceiling. Yeah, it is possible. You can do 100. Here's how you do it. Here's how I did it. Here's what I would avoid. Here's what I would do better at. All of those things. It was just amazing. So I joined that group, and Bill Allen and I'm sure you know Bill really well, just like I do, but he's been a great mentor to me and a lot of people that we've talked about before this that are kind of in that inner circle of 7-figure flipping. Mike Simmons and Becca Shea and all of those guys have just kind of taken me in and made me part of their tribe. And that is so, because being an entrepreneur is lonely sometimes. Like, it's frustrating that you feel like you don't have this peer group to help you and move that needle forward. But it's just been an incredible experience being able to have these high-minded individuals who are trying to push the limits. And then you have guys like me that are saying, yeah, you could do a flip in 7 days. And that's pretty cool, because that belief wasn't there. It's like running a 4-minute mile, right? You can't run a 4-minute mile. That's crazy. You can't flip a house in 7 days. Well, I'm going to show you that, we did 4 in 7, and that never would have been possible if that ceiling wasn't broken and those guys weren't there to support me and all of that. So yeah, I did a lot of that. I went to Flip Hacking Live, which is amazing. Like, it was such a cool event. And so I went to that and I joined the group, and then a year later I was speaking on stage at Flip Hacking Live, and now we're doing this TV show, and it's just really evolved. But there's no way that I could have done that without being mentored by this mastermind group. And Tony Robbins says, turn decades into days, right? Take the experience of people like you, Sharon, that have been doing it for decades, and how do you turn their experience into days? And that's what I wanted.
That's a great quote, by the way. I didn't remember that until you said it. But don't you think that one of the things that happens when you surround yourself with people in a group like that is your belief system changes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we tend to put limits on ourselves, and maybe part of that is internal, the way we grew up or what our old belief system was. And when you see other people that are genuinely doing these things, you go, well, heck, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right. Yeah. And that's really what it was. It was just that belief. Bill put that into me that, hey, you can do this, and you can achieve those dreams, and you can have a $1 million company. And I never thought that was possible. I remember flipping houses in 2008 that I was just trying to pay for college or, something. And so but yeah, that belief and that mindset is 100% spot on. I totally agree with you.
Well, I think you've done an impressive job. I can see you landing a national TV show, like a long TV show after this. Is that in the works? You got any secrets?
No, nothing that, if you know anybody, let me know, but it's
Well, I think this is HGTV worthy, but the real version of how it all
right.
works. Yeah. So
Yeah, this is real TV. It's not reality TV,
this
right?
is real TV. Yes.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of meth houses and stuff like that on HGTV. So
No, and I guarantee you almost never see a house that, we didn't notice that main beam was eaten up with termites. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
seriously? Oh gosh.
I know, and oh yeah, we'll flip this whole house for $20,000, and yeah, a lot of that just isn't real, right? We both know that, but yeah. So I'd love to do something. Nothing in the works right now, but I really appreciate you saying that, because we put a lot of effort into making that TV show, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that you're watching. And
Well, I'm watching, and I'm going to put a link because I thought the last episode came out as we were filming this last night, and now I find out I've got another whole week to find out what happened and who won the challenge and the whole thing. So I'll put a link to the show there, because for anyone that wants to be a rehabber, that is a rehabber, you need to watch this show, and not only if you're rehabbing from a perspective of how you manage any kind of a project. You could be a wholesaler building a big wholesaling business. And a lot of the things that Tyler and his crew did, they were about ways of doing things, systems and procedure and things like that. And that's what I love about it. So do you have any brilliance to leave with people that if they want to be you, Tyler, give them some advice?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is just have that belief, right? That you can do it in you, because a lot of us go through that, man, there's no way I could flip a house, or I need all this money to flip a house, or I need all these things. And for me, my passion and my story was just that belief, right? I never gave up. And we just did this event last weekend, and I kind of told my story about, growing up and how I grew up poor and we never had any money. And I went to college and I had this traumatic brain injury, and I had a professor who wouldn't let me quit. So I studied and I passed the test, and I didn't have any short-term memory and all those things, right? All these trials and these tribulations. But if you have that belief and that dream and you want it bad enough, you can totally achieve it. Because I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not, the most efficient guy, but I had this dream and this passion that I wanted to go and get it. And whoever's listening to this, if you don't get anything out of this podcast, just have that belief in yourself that you can do it, and then be willing to take that passion and all of that into taking massive action. I lost $37,000 on my first flip. I should have quit back then, but I kept pressing forward, and I said, you know what? I know I can have a successful business in real estate, and I'm going to keep doing it. So the second one, we paid off the first one, and then we just kept going, and we had this momentum now, and now my business is totally different than what it was 12 years ago. But I just had this dream and this passion that I wanted to, I had 3 goals, Sharon, and I shared them last week: that I wanted to work for myself, that I wanted to be financially free, and I wanted to spend time with the people that I love. That was my dream. How do I achieve that? And real estate to me was just that vessel to get me there. So believe in your dreams, believe in yourself. You can totally do this. Find a mentor, whether it's Sharon or 7-Figure Flipping or Flip Hacking Live or whatever it is. Find someone who shares that passion with you and that can help you turn in to just grow your business and make it so much better.
That's great advice. And by the way, I was watching when you did your story on there last weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
good.
so that was kind of where I was doing my little detective work too. So, but yeah, no, it's a great story. And Tyler, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited for you, because I know you're going to do great things, and I know something big is going to happen for you. And you definitely need to write a book, starting with your story. And I know you've got a lot on your plate, but your story would inspire so many people. And then this is a case of, you could change people's lives with something like that. So I'm gonna challenge you to write a book.
Challenge, I love it. Challenge accepted. I don't know when.
I've learned. See, I do learn from watching other people. So see how quickly I segued over to that.
Right. Deal. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you for saying that. And that's really what my whole motive is that it's not about money to us and all of that. It's about how can I give back and help people, right? Zig Ziglar said that if you help enough other people get what they want, you can always have what you want.
And I do believe that.
Yeah, I do as well. And I can totally tell that you're genuine and sincere and that you do believe that. So thank you for having me on. It's been an incredible experience. I'd love to hang out with you some more. We need to do some stuff offline and maybe come to a networking session or something. So
I would love that. I'm totally in awe of all of you all and what you accomplished. So yeah, count me in.
Okay, awesome.
So I'll put the links to Tyler's show and his site, and I'll get all of those and put those in the show notes. And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Tyler?
Yeah, so Facebook, Tyler Jensen on Facebook. Utah House Flip is our company on Facebook. Come to Flip Hacking Live. I'm speaking there as well. So if you want to talk about 7-day flipping or anything real estate wise, like we're really good at rehabbing. We don't do any wholesaling. So if you want to talk about rehabbing and what that takes, come to Flip Hacking Live. Let's talk. Let's, get a virtual coffee or whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of those things are best ways to get a hold of us. So.
Okay, great. So thanks to all the listeners too for tuning in today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you like this show, please leave us a rating and a review over on iTunes. I would really appreciate it. And I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Thanks again, Tyler, and bye for now.
Thanks, Sharon.